fantastic. You know, enjoy your film and you know, put it on your right-wing media.
If you were to put me in a box like the left like to, you would say that I was
voted for Boris Johnson.
What happens is Remainers then complain about Boris Johnson because he's not elected. Hell, what about all these people in Europe that are not elected? You're not complaining. Okay, so I'm part of the reality report.
Reality report?
Yes, it's an independent grassroots.
Reality in the clothes report.
It appears that a lot of the people are very undemocratic.
I believe Nigel actually said 52-48 would be unfinished business. You got 51.947.
It doesn't matter, does it?
Yes, but Boris basically said if Remain won by the margin that Leave won by, he'd be calling for an immediate repeat of the referendum.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter because you're quite happy to look because it went your way.
Yeah, because I don't want a federal Europe.
We're not having.
We've had a federal Europe, and there was a Second World War over it. There's a Hitler did this in 1933.
He definitely did.
Yes, he did. He did. He wanted a federal Europe, and we had to go to war over it.
He went to Hindenburg and asked them to send Parliament to stop them. Oh, blocking the will of the people was Hitler's words.
Hitler did it in 1933. He wanted a federal Europe.
He did what Johnson.
He wanted a federal Europe, and he invaded countries to achieve that. So, and that's what's happening with the European Union. I don't want a federal Europe, and I don't want the European MPs.
So
massive
you're
gravy
prepared
train.
to take the British veto prevents our leaving. It's one of these self-fulfilling prophecies. It's like declaring the chair's wobbly, kicking one of the legs out and saying, I told you so when the chair falls over. We've got a veto on treaty change.
Yeah, but we've got no power. You're talking about unelected people. Unelected people in Europe.
I tell you
unelected.
what, more of us voted for
and
MEPs.
you complain.
More of us voted for MEPs than voted for Boris Johnson.
What happens is Remainers then complain about Boris Johnson because he's not elected. Hell, what about all these people in Europe that are not elected? You're not complaining about that, are you?
So I'm just going to go and ask the organiser a few questions and see what he says. My name's Glenn. I'm an independent journalist, part of a media organisation called The Reality Report. I was just wondering if I could ask you a few questions about today's events.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm here today with, are you the lead organiser of today's events?
I helped organise the event today, yeah.
Yeah, and what was today's event all about?
So it was about defending democracy. There are protests today up and down the country, probably the biggest one's going to be in London, organised at short notice to protest against the suspension of Parliament, an attack on democracy, which is like a huge deal. Democracy is essential, and very short notice we organised. Myself and other officers of the National Education Union in Northampton put out a call, mainly through social media to be honest, for people to turn up today to voice their concern, protest about what's going on. We didn't know how many people would turn up at such short notice, but there was between 200 and 300 people at
I've signed everything.
We're really pleased with the
Signed
outcome.
everything possible online.
And what was absolutely amazing, to be honest, was we hadn't organised like a set group of speakers. I introduced it, and for a whole hour and a bit, we had person after person, young people, older people, a Romanian woman, standing up and speaking why this is such a big deal and why a no Brexit crash out is going to be a disaster for working class people. And it was a really great event.
So you're saying it's to stick up for democracy. In what way?
Well, in a way of countering and protesting against the suspension of Parliament for 5 weeks very soon if Boris Johnson gets his way, at a time when there should be more discussion, more parliamentary time, more scrutiny on the government's plans. The suspension is because Boris Johnson and the Tory party know there's huge opposition to a no-deal Brexit, so they're trying to manoeuvre and abuse democracy in order to try to get this through. And as I said, it will be, even people who voted for leave 3 years ago didn't vote to crash out of Europe with no deal, with all the ramifications of that for their rights, for their work, for their social lives, for their democracy, and so on. They didn't vote for that. So this is a real abuse of democracy, and we just felt it was important to put down a marker today to show Northampton, to show people that we're not putting up with this, and so the response was tremendous.
So, are you aware that proroguing Parliament is actually part of a democratic process? That is a requirement for a mandate of a government to have a Queen's speech for them to be able to.
No, this is significantly different to the normal routines of Parliament.
Are you aware?
It's absolutely so. To sort of say that this is some sort of normal routine procedure is absolutely nonsensical and absolutely flies against.
Can I ask you a question?
Historical precedent. It's absolutely not at all. In fact, like, that's the sort of thing that Jacob Rees-Mogg says, it's just phony concern, that sort of posh utopian. It's nonsense. This is a real attack on democracy, and the proof of that is the number of people who turned out today who spoke, one after another for over an hour on why they're so concerned about it and why it's so important to put down a marker, and hundreds of thousands of people doing that today up and down the country. That wouldn't happen if this was some sort of routine parliamentary issue. People know that this is an attack on democracy, and what you do in that situation, you just do your normal shop at Aldi. Well, actually no, you go, actually what we're going to do today is going to come into town and actually be part of that movement to defend democracy.
So are you aware that before the summer break, the first session that Rees-Mogg led as Leader of the House, on that day Valerie Vaz asked for a new session of Parliament, because this has been the longest session of Parliament that it's ever had, okay, or in the last 100 years, okay. So Valerie Vaz, who is the shadow Leader of the House, asked for a new session. The only way a new session can start is by proroguing Parliament.
That's not me.
Are you aware of that?
Aware of what?
Aware of that? That Valerie Vaz asked for a new session.
Well, I don't see what the point is.
Well, we're starting doing exactly what was asked of Parliament.
Well,
Parliament asked for a new session, and that is what's going to happen after.
No disrespect. You're clearly living in a different sort of parallel universe to everybody else. I mean,
have you seen the debates in Parliament?
You were at the demo today. You've seen people up and down the country today. If you actually watch what's going on, and you're sort of coming over here and trying to pretend that this is some sort of just a sort of nothing to get worked up about. You're in a tiny minority of people. I mean, even people who.
I'm in the vast majority.
Even people who support Leave and voted for Leave recognise that what's happened is an absolute abuse of power. So to sort of pretend it's anything other than well, yeah, look, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm sort of what I'm surprised about is you claim to be a reporter. Okay, you claim to be a reporter. You've asked me some questions, and I've answered those questions, and again, explain what this is all about today. You know, as I to what happened in Northampton today. You saw the people. You'll see what's happening up and down the country today. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to defend the Tories. You know, that's,
I'm not defending the Tories.
You clearly seem to be defending what is absolutely clear is an abuse of power.
Our democracy.
You're not defending our democracy at all. You're actually defending an abuse of power. You're entitled to do that.
And
You're lucky enough to be living in a situation where you're allowed to do that. Okay.
And what position is that?
Sorry.
Do you see me as? What do you see me as? What?
You're defending Boris Johnson proroguing Parliament. They're saying, oh, it's just a sort of routine,
I'm defending the democratic
manoeuvre.
process.
No, you're not.
Well,
You're
that
not.
is the
because
process
that
of democratic
process, that proroguing of Parliament is an abuse of power.
In what way?
I've just explained it. I'm not going to go around in circles.
But it's not an abuse of power when it is when it's a constitutional requirement.
No, sorry.
For Parliament to be
sorry,
created
you're
to start
talking
a new
absolute
session.
nonsense.
No. Do you know about the
Well,
constitution that
you
we
clearly do. You clearly do. Okay, you're in a tiny minority of people who are here today, filming away, that sort of stuff. You're entitled to that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time. I've got better things to do now. I've responded to you. You've asked me some questions. Fantastic. Enjoy your film and put it on your right-wing media.
Okay.
We're done.
Thank you ever so much for your
problem at all.
time. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. See you then. What is your?
So very interesting.
What is your company called?
Okay, so I'm part of the reality report.
Reality Report.
Yes, it's an independent grassroots.
Some sort of right-wing. What's reality?
The reality report.
The
yeah.
unreality reports.
So
the sort
if you
of
was-
reality in the clouds reports.
So if you was to put me in a box like the left like to, you would say that I was more of a liberal green conservative, which to the left blows their minds.
It doesn't blow my mind.
So if I'm a liberal green conservative in a political box, then
You're a Tory. Fair enough.
I'm not Tory.
Well, you're a conservative.
I'm me. That's who I am.
Oh, come on.
Thanks for organising today.
I'm
No
objective.
worries at all. No, you're not.
How, and in what way am I not objective?
Well, because nobody's objective. I'm not objective. I'm a socialist. Is that objective? Objective, isn't it?
No, it's most definitely subjective. And
Absolutely.
as I stated today, this event, as I could see, was more to do with socialism and communism than it was anything to do about Brexit.
Well,
Yes.
that's your
Would you say so?
That's your take on it.
Would you say it was more to do with socialism then?
Well, it depends what you mean by socialism, doesn't it? What do you mean by socialism? I mean, if defending democracy and trying to pursue democracy and extending
But it's
democracy means
It's
socialism,
not democratic to stop a democratic process or a democratic vote.
well, who's stopping that?
Remainers or Remoaners, because not all Remainers want to remain any longer. They're happy to leave. Do you not defend the 2016 referendum result?
Well, that's a strange form of democracy.
How? Well, direct democracy, a form of.
Well, it was a referendum. It wasn't even legally binding.
Of course, it was between
No,
us,
it
the
wasn't.
people and
No, it
Parliament.
wasn't. It's a referendum.
But it was-
referendum has
It was binding as soon as Parliament passed it by law.